morning and welcome to Sharing Sunday with me, Helen Armstrong from Pandora Pop's Craft and Joyful Moments. It is Sunday the 26th of July 2026 and this morning I'm going to predominantly show how I did the background of this card. I have made it slightly differently, so we'll see how we get on. My plan is to do two of these, one with a bigger moon and one with a small moon. And I've used different leaves. So yeah, let's get started. I have, for speed, already black embossed my two ravens that we're going to be using. I've also cut out our leaves from Nature Symphony die set. I'll just see if I can show you that one. So we're using the Nature Symphony dies and we're using this particular one here. I'm also using the this stamp here from Nature Symphony, maybe to add some texture. I haven't quite decided yet. And we're using the Happy Halloween and the Raven from Raven's Tail, which is one of the current online exclusives from July from Stampin Up. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the large moon first. I have a number of inks: Berry Burst, Daffodil Delight, Crushed Curry, we've got Night of Navy, Secret Sea, some Pretty Peacock, some Mossy Meadow and some Blackberry Bliss. So we may not be using all of those colours, but we are going to be using a few. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I am going to lay my circle stencil. This is just acetate with a circle cut out of it. This is it. That's all it is to make my moon and my background. Okay, and I do have the fact that my cat has been all over my crafting table again this morning, unfortunately, so she's left us a few hairs. So I'm going to place my moon about there, and if I'm just going to get my raven, because my raven's going to, with the big moon, is going to start at around there. So we're going to get lots of shadow behind him. So, okay. I am just going to hold it in place. And I'm going to be using the Daffodil Delight and Crushed Curry for the moon. So we'll get those out. Ready. Okay. And yes, again, nice, lovely cat hair. I love my cat, but yeah, she does leave me lots of cat hair presents around my crafting area, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm actually going to use a stenciling brush for this, only because I find it easier than using a blending brush when it comes to doing this type of thing. And I'm going to just go around the outside first, very lightly. Remember, you can always add, but you can't take it away. So this was one of those sets again, the Raven's Tail, where I thought, oh, I absolutely love Wednesday, the Netflix series, and obviously Edgar Allan Poe's Nevermore is featured quite heavily. Yeah, so I do really enjoy that, and I just decided it would be nice to get that and maybe have a play. My brother is has a Halloween birthday, and I normally do something which is can be Halloween based for his birthday. In the past I've done something which is more autumny based rather than Halloween. But I just thought actually this would be quite nice. I'm now going to bring in, so that was the Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to just bring in a little bit of Crushed Curry, and I'm just dabbing off on the side. Again, quite lightly coming round, and it's these, and then we're going to come in into the middle. Just a little bit. Now, when we get towards the end, we will be putting some cloud shadows across the moon. I'm going to just add a little bit more down the bottom because I want it darker on the bottom. Okay. so we have our moon. As I said, we will be doing some extra on the moon. I'm just going to quickly close that down. This time I'm going to add our mask for our moon, okay, which fits perfectly over. I'm going to bring in a little bit of Secrecy, not a lot. I'm going to bring in some Blackberry Bliss and some Berry Burst and Night of Navy. So might use the Pretty Peacock. I've not decided yet. We'll see how we get on. So the first one I'm going to do is we are going to bring in a little bit of that Secrecy. And again, we're going to use a stenciling brush. Stampin Up don't have stenciling brushes, which is why I'm using them. These stenciling brushes are from Lavinia Stamps, and they are a really, really good quality, hence the reason I use them. So I'm going to just go in darker at the edges first, and we're just going to come across. And again, remember, you can always come in darker, but you can't lighten. So you go in lighter first, and then you can start bringing in that darker colour at the top. Except you can do this with blending brushes. I just prefer the way I can hold the stencil brush. I do have arthritis in my fingers, which is starting. Lovely. So sometimes they do cramp up, and it's just easier for me to hold this. Okay, so I'm added my Secrecy. I'm just going to go really dark across that top bit there. And then I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy. I'm not going to actually change my brush. Shocker, I know. But I'm just going to quickly take that off. Right, okay. And then I'm just going to bring in the Night of Navy, which is that really dark, nice blue. Again, I'm just going to bring it down. So we've got that really dark Secrecy, and all I'm going to do is just blend over the top with the Night of Navy. So you get that little bit of gradient at the top. Okay, so there's our Night of Navy. If I was going to bring in the Pretty Peacock, I might bring it in now. You know what, let's give it a go, see what it looks like. I've not actually used it on this because I just thought that touch of green might be just a little bit too much. Let me just have a look. We could use it. Let's just see. Okay, so I'm just gonna edge it across there, and I've actually realised I've moved my mask on my moon. So yeah, edge it across a little bit, bring it down. I actually think I quite like it. And then we're going to start bringing in our purples. So you're just going from darker to, it's not light necessarily because the purples are really dark. And we're going to bring in our Blackberry Bliss. And remember, each time we do this, we can blend over the top. It's one of the things you can do. It creates that just little bit of shading. Okay, so I'm now going to just sweep across. I've just gone up towards my Pretty Peacock and into that Night of Navy. And it just, again, blends those colours in. So this is really a technique video with added extra with the Raven's Tail stamp set and the extra bits, but yeah. Okay, so come down, and then I'm just going to blend that in a little bit. Our last bit is the Berry Burst going into the bottom. So our Berry Burst is our lighter one. So pick up some ink, and then I'm just going to come in And we're just going to go on the top of that. Again, you're starting off light strokes, and then you can add depth as you go on. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in a bit more of that berry burst. I want to go in darker towards the bottom like we did on the top, so get those corners really dark. I'm just gonna, what I might bring in is a little bit more of the, which one did we use? Sorry, the Blackberry Bliss. Just to blend that out and make it a little bit darker. And I don't need to be holding the moon in place now because, yeah, we've got to that point where we don't need it. So I'm just bringing in that Blackberry Bliss again to bring in that little bit darkness. Okay, so that's our background so far. Okay. Before we do anything else though, I want to do some spritzing of my background. So all I'm going to use is some, make sure I've got a one which has actually got some water in it, which doesn't seem to, oh, got one which has got some water in it. So again, this is just a spritzer, normal spritzer, and all I'm going to do is keeping that moon in place because I don't want to spritz over my moon. I'm just going to spritz over my card. So I just want it to get a little bit distressed, is my plan. So I will just leave that to dry a little bit and lift my moon mask now and give that a bit of a dry with a tissue. We have a little bit of white going around the side, that's absolutely not a problem. We can add things later. So yeah, so we have our main background now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just move that to one side, and I'm going to bring in the greens that we're going to be using. I am going to be using Pretty Peacock on the leaves that we have, and also Mossy Meadow. So I cut the leaves out in Mossy Meadow. So I'm just going to do a little bit of blending on the leaves first. I'm going to be using this and this one. So I am actually going to use my blending brush from Stampin Up, and I'm just going to do a little bit of darker shading on the leaves. So you can go as dark as you want to. And also, I'm going to just, let's do this with the Mossy Meadow, and then I'll add the Pretty Peacock. So I'm just going to bring that in. Again, we're just darkening those leaves at those tips. And it just lifts the leaf a little bit, just to bring that little bit of shading. Yeah, that's why we're doing it. And then I am going to just pick up a little bit of berry burst. Again, just to add that little bit extra shading. Right, so we have our leaves, which we're going to add. But before we add our leaves, we're going to add some into the background. This is me definitely playing. I have not tried this technique. So this may go all completely pear-shaped, but I just thought it would be quite nice to try something different. I'm going to bring in, let's do a little bit of Pretty Peacock, just to add a little bit of leaf shading in the background. And then we can see what that looks like, and then we can maybe add some Mossy Meadow. Okay. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. Okay, I'll just turn that over. Okay, so we have a little bit of a leaf pattern. We might go in with our Mossy Meadow, I think. Maybe just behind it. Again, we're just gonna shade over the top. This is just, again, adding some depth to the behind the scenes of our leaves. And to our raven, I do need to re-ink. I keep saying I need to re-ink my pads and things, but getting the time. Well, I do have the time, I just keep forgetting. Okay, so I think we're okay with that one now. You can put that away for a minute and put the ink away. Okay, so as I say, I embossed my raven with black embossing powder. I used the Wow Primary Ebony embossing, and this is where we're going to place our raven, and we have our leaves that we have done and our leaf background, which is rather, I am actually loving that. We are going to darken these edges because I want it to be quite, not scary, but just a little bit blacked off. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take our Night of Navy, and I'm just going to knock back the raven's white bit on here, just with that Night of Navy. But you still get that shine coming through. Okay, so we now have a very, very black dark raven, which I love. I'm just going to just run my piece of, it's just tissue, over the top, and making sure that black sticks through, which it does. Okay, sorry, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat again this morning. I have got 2 stamping blends with me, and what we're going to do is we're going to add, using the brush tip, see if we can add a little bit of colour on those edges. So all I'm doing is adding colour to the edges of this. I just wanted to see whether it would pick up, but because I think I've used the embossing powder, it's not going to pick up as well as it could do, but that's absolutely fine. What I should have done was possibly leave a little bit of a white gap when I was cutting out. That's okay. What I wanted to do was something like this, which was, you can see that yellow a little bit peeking around the legs, but it'll still work absolutely fine. Okay, so let's start building. And just before, no, I'm actually going to put that on. I think I'm going to put our raven on, and then I'm going to add the background bits that we want. Okay, but before I add my leaves, I am going to darken these edges really, really dark. And we're going to use our Secret C to darken these edges of our card. And let's get a blending brush. Okay, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to go right on the edges, just blending in, because I want to make these edges really dark, and we're going to just bring up a little bit up here. So I'm bringing in that Secret C on those edges. Okay, just bring in my stenciling brush. brush a bit as well. I want to just to soften that a bit. And then we're going to come up here, and then right at the top, we're going to really go deep, and at the side. So those corners need to be as deep as you can possibly make them. And a little bit across the top and down the side. Okay. Right, I think I'm quite happy with that one now. I might even darken my leaves a little bit more, but we'll see. We shall see. Okay. So this is how we're layering our raven. I think I want to put maybe that under there. Just trying to find the best way to position our lovely raven. Do we want to have, so I'm hoping I'm in frame. No, I'm actually quite happy with these. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to see if I can lift. Now we do have, I can add some white highlights or some yellow highlights later. So what I might do is use the, let's just see, I want to try something just to see whilst we're doing this card. I was going to make 2 cards, but I don't think we're going to have time, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm just getting my white gel pen to work. So I'm just going to draw a line, and I'm going to leave that to dry whilst we're doing other bits and pieces. And I just want to then see if I can then shade on top with the yellow to get the effect I want. Okay. But first of all, I do need to, I quite like that. So what I'm going to do is, I quite like that white line. I'm just going to extend that white line up using my gel pen. Okay, just so we get that little bit of highlight. Now, my brush has got a little bit of blue left on it, but what I might do is get a smaller brush just to do some shading across our moon. And I'm going to do it in the Secret Sea. So I've dabbed it on, but I'm going to take a lot of that off. So we just get it almost like a smoky. Going across our moon, and you can take those shadows off to the side. So it's almost like clouds that are crossing over the moon. Okay, and I'm just going to darken it off at this side a little bit again. I'm just going to bring in my mask, and I want it just slightly darker on this side. So what you could do is you could layer this up. So, and you've got that onto there, and then you're just going to darken this edge a little bit with your Secret Sea, or any other. If you've got a nice grey, you could do it with a nice grey. So then you've got this little bit of a shadow going on. I'm just going to blend that in a little bit. So use my mask. And then we're just going to blend it in. So I don't really want that thick line, which I've managed to get, and I have managed to get a thick line, which is not what I wanted, but if I can darken it enough, we should be able to get rid of it. I could use my blending pens if I wanted to. Okay, right, happier with that now. Let's just blend that out here at the top and down here at the bottom. Yes, I like that. Okay. Right, now let's bring in Mr. Raven and our leaves. Okay, I'm going to bring in just going to add a touch of glue to the leaves because I don't want the leaves sticking up, but I might have our raven sticking up. I haven't quite decided yet. Okay, just gonna blend that off a little bit. Too much glue. Too much glue. Okay. Do we want our raven? Just lift that up. I think we want him there. Okay, so I'm going to have him underneath that leaf, I think is the plan. And then we will bring in our other leaves and we can have that a little bit like that. I do quite like that. Okay, so I'm not going to actually put him up on dimensional. Oh, do I want him? Because it'll give it, yeah, I do want him on dimensionals because it'll give him that little bit of shadow. Okay. So let's just move those off for the moment. You will not believe I had a really clean desk this morning. So I'm using our large dimensionals, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to layer them twice. So we're going to peel our dimensionals off, the backings off, not the dimensionals themselves, peel the backings off, and then we're going to add a further set. Now, yeah, this technique, you are going to get, your hands are going to get dirty. So if you don't like getting dirty hands, I would suggest maybe putting some gloves on, some thin gloves. But I think half the fun with crafting is actually getting messy. Well, it certainly is for me. Okay, I can move that one. And we're going to sit our raven. Just make sure that we've got him where we want him to be. Okay, I think, yeah, and you see how we get that little bit of shadowing behind. Okay, so what we can do is we could lift that leaf, because obviously we've got him. Just peel the backing off first. As I said, this is something that I'm trying with you on camera. I decided this is not something that I needed to practice beforehand. Maybe I should have done, but I wanted to trial it to see. And now we're going to use our mini dimensionals, because we're going to add some to these leaves, and we'll make these leaves stick out. Okay, so as I say, we're not going to have that second video, but I will make the card and show it. But I quite like the larger moon. It'd be interesting to hear in the comments, if you can put in the comments which one you preferred when I show you both, the smaller moon or the larger moon. We don't want our dimensional backings on, do we? Okay. So we have that. Now I want to try with the, I should have put my lid back on my gel pen. Why did I not put the lid back on the gel pen? And now I can't find it. Okay. Oh, there it is. Not to worry. Okay, so I wanted to see whether if we go on top of this now, will it be yellow? And I'm hopeful that it might be. Okay. So let's scribble my gel pen. And I'm just going to put on the leaves where I think the moon would be shining the white gel pen. I'm going to tuck that one under, I think. Tuck that under. So we may have a little bit on here. We're definitely going to have some on this one here. I might actually put some on our raven if I can as well. And we might have a little bit on there, a little bit on the stem here. Okay. And then let's just see if we can add that touch of white. I don't know whether, because it's embossed, whether it will actually dry on it. We shall see. Okay, and then on this beak and on the top of the head, I think will probably be enough. We can, no, pick up maybe a few, but if it's behind the moon, is not going to actually, this is all going to be very dark, isn't it? Right, okay, so we're just going to leave that to set a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to start doing some splattering. So I am going to cover again when I can find. Oh, what have I done with it? I need to find my big moon mask. What have I done with it? Oh, so many things go missing when I craft, don't they? There it is, underneath there. I'm just going to cover that very loosely, and I'm going to start doing some flicking. First of all, with the yellow. You're not going to really see it on the background a lot. You might just get a little bit of colour difference, but you're not going to get a lot. So what I'm then going to come in, I'm going to do it with the Wink of Stella. Not that one though, because that's my white one. Okay. Just making sure we have enough in the lid. And then we're just going to flick on top with the Wink of Stella. And we're going to add a few white dots with on the leaves, and yeah, so I think that's probably enough. So we've got that little bit of sparkle going on, but not on the moon, which is what I prefer. Right, so now let's bring in our brush. Can we get, oh yes we can. So I'm just going to go around, and we've got that little bit of highlight from the moon. Okay, and on our raven there. Let's bring it down a little bit here. Right, okay. So we have that little bit of highlight. I think I still need to knock these leaves back a little bit, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to use our gel pen, making sure, and I'm just going to do some whiter dots going round to represent stars. A little bit more texture on the card. And then I'm going to use my Wink of Stella. And I'm just going to, I think I need to change the brush a little bit. I'm just going to come round that side of my moon. So I want that to be the sparkly bit of my moon. And then add a little bit, maybe sparkle down here. And then across the top, just part way across. Okay. All right, I think we are almost there. We just need to add our Happy Halloween. So I've already cut these out. Now, we do need to, because that stark white just doesn't work. So let's see if we blend that in with the that's better. Do we want that one? Or do we go for these two? Sorry, I'm probably off frame an awful lot today, and I'm really sorry. So I'm using the dark Darling Duckling on this bit. Okay, just to give a bit of contrast. And I am going to add mini dimensionals on the back because I want this to stand out. So this is, again, something different to what we did a couple of weeks ago. I like changing things up. I like trying to come up with new ideas, and I like the fact that we can use that white gel pen and then add colour. That is an eye-opener for me today, so I like that. So I'm just going to put my Happy Halloween up here. And then we can decide whether we want to put it on a plain background, white card, or whether we were going to mount it on our purple card. Whichever we do need to blend some brushes, and I just need to snip that off, little snips. Okay. And do we need to snip that? Yes, we do. Ever so slightly snip that one as well. Okay, Happy Halloween. Okay, I think I'm not happy with my leaves. I think I'm gonna have to take them down just a bit more. They're too bright for me. Okay, let's slip that under there. I can stick that down in a bit. Okay, that's a bit better. So I have two card bases. I have this one, or we have the white one. Now, obviously the white one really stands out. That doesn't. But what I don't want to happen, and I've just realised what I haven't tried, was my little stamp. Let's use it on our background just to add some texture on those corners. I knew there was something I'd forgotten. Okay, and I'm going to do it in Blackberry Bliss, which is the same colour as the card, and I might add some in Secret Sea, but let's just do some stamping at the sides. Just gives a bit more texture, and then I want to go over in, if we go in Secret Sea, let's just clean, oh, where's my chamois? There it is. What we're just going to do is go over with Secret Sea. But I'm going to change the angle of it so we get almost a cross-hatched look. Now this would just be a great one for doing as a background for your card, and I just realised I've not done that very well when I've scored it. Okay, I'll just get my bone folder. Okay, that's better. And my card will actually be as it's supposed to be. So now if we add that, we get that texture in the background. I know it's very, very subtle, but you do get that texture, and I think it can make a difference than just having the plain on the back. I just think it just adds a little bit more texture and edginess. Right, so we're going to add our, wherever I put them, dimensionals. Oh, there we go. And then we're going to stick it on, and you can see which one you actually prefer. So I hope you've had enjoyed this little, I say it's not little, it's quite a long video of using inks to create texture, using the gel pen and then going over with a different colour. That's something that I'd not really thought about until doing this video with you. So I do like how sometimes ideas can just blossom out of nothing. Yeah, loved it. Loved making this card, I have to say, and I hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride. I will put in all the bits that I've used. Okay, that's not perfect. Let's see if I can take that off. And see if I can centre it again better. Okay, that is better. All right, so we have that one. And I've not matted this onto a card, and we have that one. So this was my first attempt, and this was the second attempt. I have my favourite, and I think it's that one. But we'll see. We'll see what your favourite turns out to be. Okay, well, again, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you can, like and subscribe. It does make a difference to the channel for me growing it. Yeah. But as always, have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And craft your joy. Take care, everybody. Bye.